Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to Grenada Matters. I have with me in the room once again the Grenada Empowerment Movement leader, Earl Maitland. Earl, how are we doing?
I'm good, Ingram. How are you?
I'm good. We have a third guest going to be in the room tonight with us as well, which I'm looking forward to speaking with and having on the show.
So, Ingram, could you send me the link to the page? So
Which
to the live. I'm not seeing it on your page.
Should be there, isn't it there? You not got it?
I'm on your page, but I'm not seeing the live though.
Should be there.
I'm on Ingram Jones.
Go to BWTM online. That's where you should be.
Okay. Right. So how are you doing over there, Ingram?
It's good. The weather's not been too great today. We've had a little bit of sun, but for the most part, it's been lots of rain.
Okay. So being over here, the weather has been hot for the longest while over here in Antigua. Although I was told that the winds was actually heavy in Grenada today. A few trees had fallen down.
Yeah.
But it seems as though the weather has improved, and there is some rain in Grenada right now.
Yes.
Of course, you know that although I am outside of Grenada, the spirit it lives on in Grenada. It has not left Grenada.
Of course.
Yeah, I have been keeping in contact with, the good people of Grenada, ensuring that everything is a-okay, as we say.
Yes.
I'm still not seeing the link though on your page. I'm not seeing the live.
It should be there. It's
BWTM online, right?
Right. Okay. Let me try something here. Okay. Let me try that. Oh, it's on my page. What? Okay. Let's try.
Yeah. So
Let's try
Ingram is up. Did you send me the link?
Yeah. Hold on a second.
Okay.
Hold on a second.
Okay. No problem.
Oh, this is not good. Hold a second. We might have to. For some reason, I don't want to do that.
Yes.
Okay, let's try this second. Okay. Delete. Hold on a second.
Okay.
The link is on my personal Facebook page. It shouldn't be.
Say that again, Ingram.
Just give me a second.
Okay. Okay.
Let's do that. Okay. Okay.
So
the link is on my. Let's do that. Okay. Let's do that. How is that?
Okay, it's good. The link is there. You think we should restart the live?
No, we don't have to. It's live. The link is there.
We have 4 minutes of wasted time on the recording.
That's cool. We're live. It's cool. Why did you tell us we've done?
Say that again.
We're live now, so it's okay. We're fine.
I can't. You have it only for your friends. You need to open it so I could share it.
It should be there. Is it not? It should be.
It's there. It's there. Persons on your friends list. You have to edit and change it to the worldwide access.
I don't know why that is like that.
Yeah.
Public.
Yeah.
Facebook are always changing the rules all the time. Okay. It's okay. People are still coming to rooms. That's all right. Here we go.
Let me see what's happening here on my side. Okay, lovely.
Have you got it? It's come through?
Yeah, so we have it. We could officially begin, I guess.
Yeah,
Right.
we're good now. Good to go.
Yeah, so once again, Ingram, thank you. I know that you're over in England over there. So thank you for giving Grenada an opportunity to actually have a voice outside of local media, which is sometimes censored to the disadvantage of the population, right? Many times the victims are affected because of the censorship. So we really appreciate what you are doing, getting the information across to the relevant persons.
Yes, it's not a problem. Good evening, Anthony G. Wrench. He says, police lives matter. I think you might be talking about what's going on in the UK at the moment.
Uh-huh.
So, welcome to everybody in the room. While you're in the room, please do, if you're on Facebook, please smash the like button in the Facebook and share. And when you do get a chance, invite others into this page. We will do weekly shows. We will not, well,
Ingram,
yes, we'll be doing weekly shows, correct, on a Monday.
yeah, that's correct. Every Monday at 6 p.m., we started a show called The Pursuit of Justice. And this would be the RGPF version of The Pursuit of Justice. The RGPF, for those who are looking internationally, it stands for the Royal Grenada Police Force, right? We do have some injustices meted out to the civilians and even police officers at many different ranks of the Royal Grenada Police Force, right? So we have been using this opportunity to present cases, to pursue justice for persons who have been ill-treated, right? And once again, Ingram, thank you for having us. Ingram has been with us in Grenada since 2016.
12.
2012, right? 2012. We were able to actually get the ball rolling. We were able to secure justice for certain persons. Today, specifically, we will be speaking on a case that we have encountered last night on June 26th on one of the local TV stations. It was very disturbing. It involved a gentleman and his wife. I believe the gentleman's name is Mr. Smith. Both Ingram and I have witnessed it live on one of the local TV stations in Grenada, where we all saw a gentleman who was unable to provide testimony of an alleged assault, which he received, right? His wife actually had to speak on his behalf. Since that time, we have done as much as we could have done outside of Grenada. And we were told by persons that Mr. Smith is someone who has just been recovering from a heart attack. His wife said that he was sick before the assault, and I believe that's the reason why he might have been unable to speak. Ingram. So basically, if you want to just fill in the viewers as to what you heard last night,
Yes.
I'll just get stuff ready.
So while I was watching the broadcast from the UK on the local station, you're going to mute your microphone. Yeah, while I was on the station watching, have you muted your microphone? No. It's muted now. Great. So while I was watching the station via Facebook, a local station in Grenada. I saw the lady was describing the incident, what happened, and then there was a comment that was made by. She said that the police officers told her that she needs to take the situation privately. So, of course, us listening and saying, "Well, you're the police. Why can't we come to the police and talk to the police about the matter? Why do we have to go privately about the matter?" So, of course, there were people up in uproar about it because of that, up about the event that happened and the incident that happened. So, I, of course, was upset about it as well. So, quite shocked. I mean, you've just seen your husband being beaten up, and then you call the police, and when the police arrive, they tell you to go privately. It's a private matter. So, who do you turn to? So, Earl, are you with us? You've got more information?
Yeah, so I'm here. So basically what had happened, after I saw the news clip, that led me to want to further investigate the matter. And I actually sent an email to the Royal Grenada Police Force. I addressed it to Mr. Vanny Kerwin, who is the officer in charge of the Community Relations Department. To persons on the outside, they may recognize the department as the Internal Affairs Department, and the commissioner, of course, right? And in that email, I articulated certain things that I needed clarification on, because many times we may act, out of emotion, and that might not be the best thing. Sometimes I myself might do that as well. As Ingram said earlier, the interviewee, who is the wife of the alleged person who was assaulted, she was saying that the police officers told her that she needed to seek justice privately. Now, that, of course, has brought major concern to me, especially knowing that many times persons are refused justice by the RGPF. But I must say that it happens many times, but it does not happen all the time. And each situation is actually a unique situation in a sense, and it should be dealt with in a sense individually. So I sought the information from the Royal Grenada Police Force via email, and I'll just read the email so that our viewers can hear exactly what it is, and you would hear why I thought it best to find out from the Royal Grenada Police Force exactly what was happening. Right, so at 10:02 this morning, I wrote their commissioner and Mr. Vanny Kerwin. Last night, 26th June, whilst viewing local news, one story in particular had absorbed my attention. A family's plea for justice. The female interviewee described events which would accumulate to that of assault on her husband in Fort Judy. During her presentation, she stated police officers responded to the scene at which the incident occurred. As she further elaborated, she stated the police officers informed her that she must pursue the matter privately. However, I observed husband and wife presented a paper for public viewing, which I believe to be a medical form issued by the Royal Grenada Police Force. Now, usually, the issued document to the claimant is to seek a medical practitioner's determination of the magnitude of bodily harm. As an objective and optimistic thinker, I trust that the wife of the gentleman misconstrued her conversation with the police officer. Conclusion of the news piece, GBN reported that Mr. Kerwin was contacted, but no information was given. At this time, our nation is troubled. As I assume an investigation should be ongoing, Now, I hereby officially request only your confirmation that the Royal Grenada Police Force is facilitating the gentleman's allegation of assault. Your anticipated speedy responses are appreciated. I will surely use my platform to advise the public accordingly, as many are perturbed about the information broadcasted. So that was the email that I sent to the Royal Grenada Police Force, right? And today, I have not received a response as yet via email, right? This was sent via email as I am outside of Grenada. One thing that I have noted based on my experiences is that we must seek all the information that is necessary. Now, as I said in the email, I noticed, and I'm sure that other persons would have noticed, that the local TV station had zoomed in on a yellow document, right? And that yellow document is a medical form, as I stated in the email, and it can only be issued by a police station. Now, if we were to review the we would see that paper there, and I believe on the right-hand side it says police station. So normally, when the police release or issue this document, the next part of the process is for the complainant to take that document and go to a doctor, and then the doctor would indicate on the form the magnitude of the bodily harm, which would be ticked off in a box. It would either be injury, it would be wounding, it would be grievous harm, or whatever. Now that person, the complainant, after seeing the doctor, has to go back to the Royal Grenada Police Force and make a statement, and at that point, the person would be charged. So according to the result or the observation of the medical practitioner, then the Royal Grenada Police Force would know exactly what charge should be laid against the defendant or the person that is being complained about, right? This is the information that had me a bit pondering on exactly what was happening, because there I saw the wife of the gentleman with that paper, but she also indicated to us that the police officers said to her that she must seek private. What was it exactly they said, Ingram? I don't want to misquote anybody, you know? I don't want to misquote anybody.
They said that they should deal with this privately, wasn't it?
Right. So they should take it privately. Now, when we're dealing with such a situation, we have the criminal side and we have the civil side. Now, the Royal Grenada Police Force is mandated to facilitate the victims or the alleged victims from the criminal side. Now, if we were to actually sue, because the lady also spoke about suing the persons, that would be a private matter. So, Ingram, I am wondering now, and this is why I sought the information from the commissioner and from Mr. Vanny Cohen.
Mm-hmm.
I am wondering if, and well, I'm sure the possibility does exist that the officer most likely, hopefully, right? As I said, I would like to hope that the RGPF takes its job seriously. I am believing that the officer was saying that they will do the criminal side of the investigation, but for any other lawsuits, that would have to be court, right? So it is possible that she may have misunderstood the conversation that went on.
But of course, if you're being told you need to do it privately, that inside of all those emotions, you're probably thinking, yeah, I want some help from the police. I want justice from the police. You're seeing the police. And that's the first thing you're thinking, police. And then soon, the police will say, look, this is a criminal matter. We can deal with this. But if you're going to want to deal with this in court and sue people, you're going to have to do that. That's a private matter. That's what you're going to do. But we are dealing with the criminal element of this. But that is something you have to deal with in a legal element, and that is private. If you're going to sue, that's private, and quite possibly, I think that's what could be the case, because we don't know. We are only speculating at the moment.
We're not,
obviously, the police force respond to your email, which I hope they do respond. And they
normally, normally they do respond. I do hope the situation. A lot of persons in Grenada have lost a lot of faith in the Royal Grenada Police Force for obvious, justifiable reasons. Many persons, as I said earlier, and we continue to say, and that is the reason we have the show every Monday, because persons have been refused. And because of that, it is easy to say, okay, this is what the Royal Grenada Police Force has done again. They have refused someone justice, right? So I have not received any response as yet via email from the commissioner or Mr. Kerwin, but since that time, approximately 2 p.m. today, a statement was issued in 2 different news stations where they have said that the commissioner has confirmed that an investigation will be done. One also said that the family would be charged by the Royal Grenada Police Force. I am not sure, right? I am not sure, however, if it was as a result of our nation of Grenada and Grenadians taking it to the social media and expressing how uncomfortable they were with the situation that was.
Now, I want to stop you there. There's a lot of other factors we need to take into consideration we may be forgetting. There was an animal that was killed in the process. That is what enraged that family member to come and behave the way they did. I'm not condoning the action, and so how it all triggered off in the first place, you know. And then it also is sensitive because we're now talking about black and white at a highly political time, whereas we know about the whole Black Lives Matter movement and all the protests going around. So everyone's pretty heightened anyway. So you have a black and white situation here already highlighted, and then you've got a white person beating up on a black person and a person who can't defend themselves. But we also remember how this incident was triggered in the first place. Let us not forget that. I'm not saying that it is acceptable to go around beating people up. I'm not saying that. But in the same time, we have to understand this wasn't a race attack. We have to understand that there was a story at Leicester. He was driving his car. The animal was killed. Their pet, family pet was killed accidentally. It wasn't done on purpose. It was accident. And then from what I heard in the TV report, the gentleman came out, and then not just the gentleman, but the rest of the family jumped in as well. From what you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong there. The rest of the family jumped in and started throwing blows on the husband as well, defenseless man. So it wasn't just one person. So there's a lot of things there. It wasn't just one person. It was a group, it was a family that jumped as defend his own man. And on top of it, you know, so there's a criminal element there as well. I'm just going to ask the question, well, what will happen in terms of their animal, their pet, that meant something to their family, that's been killed in the process? Now, there was talk about, I remember listening in the comment section, how was this animal allowed to be running free at the time? How much accountability is that on the families? I don't know the full extent as to what happened with the pet and how it was able to get out and get run over in the first place. But these are other elements you must take into consideration instead of flying off the handle and saying black, white, yeah, this is Black Lives Matter and jumping on it. Yes, there's injustices in the world. We know about George Floyd, and there's many other incidents around the world that have happened, not just George Floyd. So let's not 1 second fool ourselves into believing it's just George Floyd. There's so many incidents that happen in Grenada as it is of injustice. So let's not just piggyback off the Black Lives Matter movement. There's been so much injustice happening that people have turned a blind eye on. You understand? So I've said a lot there. So let me know what you think about that.
I do understand. The whole altercation, according to the local media stations that reported it, they are saying that this has occurred because the driver of the car, the gentleman who was allegedly assaulted, he allegedly bounced and killed the dog, the family dog.
Mhm.
Right? In Grenada, we have been told many times that our pets should be leashed, or they should be fenced.
Now,
Right?
before you go, I want to also mention another point culturally about how
Mhm.
dogs are perceived in Grenada. I've lived on the island a few years now. Perceived in the island, dogs walk the street like they're stray and they walk the street like they're human beings. In
Mhm.
places like England, dogs are on leashes and they're a man's best friend, and they're in the house, and they're sleeping in the bed, and they're doing this and that. So,
Mhm.
somebody who's in Grenada, they
Mhm.
might not take all that in and think the
Mhm.
connection to a dog is so strong. In
Mhm.
England, a place like England, it's so strong that a lot of people think the dog belongs outside, and there's a detachment from that dog.
Mhm.
Whereas a dog in England is like another family member. This dog is sleeping in the same bed as them. Some of them eating at the same bowl as them.
Mhm.
Something you would find disgusting in Grenada or in the Caribbean might be
Mhm.
more acceptable, elsewhere, So this is another thing culturally we need to consider. And
Uh-huh.
you need
So
to like,
you see, Ingram, I have had the privilege of working at the airport, right?
yes.
Dogs and cats, pets in general, have been able to come in on flights as family members in Grenada, in our same country, in Grenada. They have been able to come in as members. I can't remember the exact term that they would be referred to, right? But the thing is, I think too many times we act on emotions. I really do hope that this was not Michael, how are you, sir?
I'm doing good, bro. How are you?
All right, good. So I just taking a second just to pause to welcome the great Michael Hutchinson. Right. So we have with us Michael Hutchinson. This is the person that I turn to when I need to sing karaoke and grab. You know.
Maybe hit me one more time. Is that your favorite?
Say that again.
Sorry?
Hit me one more time. Is that your favorite? Britney Spears?
No. Actually, my favorite song is "Imagine" by John Lennon because
Okay. All right.
it speaks about unity and people coming together and everything.
Can you sing us a note? Can you sing us a note? Can you drop it? Yeah. Can you sing a song? No?
Yeah, So Michael, we were just at the point where we related the story. We were saying, look at this is what is happening. Michael and I had a brief discussion today, and we do not hope that this was an act of racial tension or anything like that, racial discrimination. I do believe that emotion had a lot to do with this. Many persons would come in with their animals as family members. They come in on the flight. The American Airlines, for instance, the animals sometimes don't even come in as cargo. They actually come in on the plane, right? Ingram, you could testify to that. I'm sure Michael could testify, and I
Right.
do hope it has been a situation that emerged from emotion and not racial tension or discrimination. This is I want to remain hopeful that
Yes.
this is what has happened. And too many times we make mistakes, or we create situations that are rather unwelcoming, and it is all because of emotions. For instance, last night when I was doing the story, you know, the first thing, good afternoon, Shami Spice, how are you? The first thing that came to mind is you know, a bit of anger to find out that this is the situation, and just looking at the gentleman's condition, it was a bit unbearable, you know. So I could understand the frustration of Grenadians, especially given the circumstances of how hard it is to pursue justice in the country, right?
Right.
Pleasant afternoon, Mr. Rolanda McQueen, Neilon Peters. Good afternoon. Good afternoon to everyone who is here. We do hope that, you know, we could probably shed some sort of light to you know, some kind of solution or remedy to the problem until we have the
So
intervention of
another key point I want to mention is that it's essential that the Royal Grenada Police Force handled this with immense care and sensitivity. You're not just dealing with now any normal case. You have a case with a Caucasian attacking a black family at a time where you've got the Black Lives Matter going on. So the way the police force handle this matter is absolutely crucial, because if they get it wrong, if they get this wrong, they will be right on the island. I guarantee you they'll be writing on the island. Because people won't stand for it.
Yeah, yeah, and I believe it's because of the frustrations of the past. At this time, you know, I just want to invite Mr. Michael Hutchinson, just to you know, share his opinion, in the best way.
Yeah. So, gentlemen, thank you very much for having me, and everybody that's on the live. I'd also want to say good evening to you, and I hope that you're having a great weekend. Now, for me, on the onset of this disturbance, and I would want to call it a disturbance based on the extent of which the public is attempting to remedy it. And for me, the very first question I ask myself is, really, are we really dealing with a situation of racism? Is this situation and reaction really propelled by race? And I put myself in both situations, the situations of the gentleman who was driving, and in this situation of the owners of the dog. And I asked myself, if my dog died, how would I have reacted? And personally, if my dog runs out in the road and it gets killed, I still would have some measure of frustration and anger. It is going to be my initial reaction or response, simply because it's a member of stop, hold on, stop. Simply because it is a member of my family, and I just lost a member of my family. So I still may ask myself, shouldn't you have seen the dog? Stop. Could you have slowed down? Excuse me. Could you have slowed down, right? Did you contribute in any way to the dog dying? That would be my initial reaction, right? And culturally speaking, as was mentioned before, the way we treat dogs in Grenada, or most of us, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like it's most of us, we don't give it the level of attention as we do to a citizen from the US, the UK, or wherever. As was mentioned, these dogs live in people's homes, on their chairs, sits on bed, and all of those things. So if I run over a dog, I'll be sorry that I ran over the dog. I'll be very remorseful. But not too long after, I probably might drive away, right? And it's the case with a lot of people in Grenada, as I've seen it happen. Is that what happened? Is that what happened? And in his attempt to drive away, or driving away, did it fuel the situation further? Because now it starts to appear as if you care not about the fact that you just killed a family member, right? So I'm thinking, to a certain degree, the reaction from the white folks, and I'm going to say that simply because, let's not just try to paint things, put lipstick on things. Let's just face the elephants in the room, right? Their reaction, could it have been because it appeared that you didn't care much that you killed my dog? The subsequent reaction to get the police involved, I would say, was the right thing to do, because not only do you want to avoid yourself from getting involved in any physical altercation, but if there is any measure of lack of care and attention from the driver, hey, in this case, it is a dog. What if it was a child, right? It could have been a child, right? I'm just saying. So calling the police into the situation, that's fair and that's responsible. That is reasonable. No, I am very concerned that it appears as if most of us are zoned in, and I don't know where it started, that this is racially motivated. I do not have anything that suggests that it is. Some persons may have, and if they do, I'd like to see it, right? But as for now, we are treating that as a racist matter, and I fear that that is the wrong approach. It may have been the reaction that one will get initially, just like when the dog gets killed, immediately you just start getting angry. It may have been your initial reaction, and that could be reasonable simply because of the atmosphere that we are in right now, where race and Black Lives Matter and whatnot is in the air. But we have to understand that we entering a whole new realm when we say that we are now experiencing racial profiling and so on in Grenada. That is not good for us. And I believe that we ought to, if we are going to call it that, just make sure it is that, because the damage that we're going to do, if it is not that, I'm afraid it's going to be irreversible, right? So before we call it that, I'd like for us to just take a more objective approach to understand what really, really happened and what might be the best way to resolve it. Because right now, I mean, I've been looking at the different lives and whatnot from the people on the scene. And I can tell you that there are people there without a serious cause. And they are there because they just want to support their own. They just want to support local. And I am all for that. Let's support local. Let's support our people. You're not going to get away with offending our people. And if it's done based on injustice, you're not going to get away with it. And I like that spirit. I like that energy. But is it the right time to employ that strategy? If we believe that is a strategy that we can employ to get justice, is it the time for that? Who's the audience? Who are you trying to get their attention off? If the police says that give me up till Monday and we're going to make a statement, is it really unreasonable to wait until Monday for a statement? Considering when they do come with a statement, regardless of whatever they say, every single word that comes up their mouth, we're going to hold them accountable to it, right? So when they do hit the platform, I'm pretty sure that we would like them to be very well informed, right? We would like for them to make sure that they already probably have what action they plan to take ready for us then, or else the fire just going to be fueled further and further and further and further and further. So later on, I probably may see the whole situation differently. But right now, I sincerely do not believe that we are justified in going to the streets and protesting and whatnot, because I don't feel like the force has been given the appropriate amount of time to assess and deal with the situation as we would like to see it, as well as I know that a lot of people are paining and want answers and so on. And I would just like to implore that they react just a little differently, just understanding that this could be blown way out of proportion in a manner that even those who are participating may soon regret.
So thank you for that, Michael. You know, I share the same sentiments. You know, as one gentleman on the chat said, he said that justice doesn't just happen in 24 hours. And I fully agree with that, because the justice, the journey of justice is a long path sometimes, you know. It doesn't just happen there and then. I mean, we really need to appreciate the situation. As I said earlier, you know, I stand as one who is aware of what is happening in Grenada with the shortcomings of the Royal Grenada Police Force. I do understand the frustrations of the people. I do understand. And we should give the RGPF the time that they have asked for. But however, I am disappointed in the Mr. Vanny Cohen's response to the local media station, where he provided no information. He could have at least said to the news station that investigations are ongoing. The Royal Grenada Police Force wants to assure the people of Grenada in this time we will pursue the matter. Right? I believe it was the ending of the whole news piece when the reporter said that there was no information from Mr. Varnico, and I believe that is what has caused so much conflict, right? Um, however, I would like to add that I believe that, you know, in this time, I have seen a clinical psychologist attached to the Ministry of Social Development. I have seen man post the pictures of the family members. I personally do not think that that was a good idea, especially given the heat and the anger that people are filled with and armed with at this time. You know, I would not like to hear that someone may have gone and assaulted one of those family members, or possibly even worse, because what would actually occur is that that person in seeking justice will then become um, that I got affected by that comment there. Sorry, right? That person will now become um, one of the persons that we do not appreciate in society. That person could be charged and so on. So this is something that, you know, as long as the protests remain peaceful and so on, you know, I'm all in support for that, of it remaining peaceful. But honestly, you know, humbly speaking, I don't believe that the pictures of the family should have been shared. We don't want to endanger any more lives or anything like that, especially in Grenada. We do not want to be known as the nation, because you know how information gets out. We do not want to be known as the country who
Right.
has gotten, you know, you understand what I'm saying? You know, it's a terrible situation, and it's painful to have to discuss situations like these.
No.
Yeah,
Do you think, and this is not being disrespectful to the head of police, based on the Black Lives Matter movement at the moment going on worldwide, and you're dealing with the head of police, the Royal Grenada Police Force, do you think that he is equipped to handle the severity and the climate of what is going on the island and around the world in terms of how he responds to this matter? And has he got the diligence to conduct himself in a manner which is going to take his head out of the lion's mouth? Or is he incapable of making a comment? Hence why he didn't make a comment to make things worse and was seeking some sort of other advice on the matter. In your opinion, having dealt with this man
yeah.
on a regular basis?
You see, in my, I get some feedback, Ingram. In my humble opinion, you know, and I always take things from the point of view of experience, right? As I said, every situation is independent. Most times, this one that is independent of others. Edwin Martin, as commissioner, acting commissioner of police, I believe that he is capable. He articulates well. He does have the ability, but in my experience, I would have to question the integrity of Mr. Edwin Martin, right? I can only speak for my experiences. Some might say something totally different, which I would also appreciate. But my experience is my experience, you know, and I believe that in this climate, what should have happened, a statement should have been released, just as we were going through the COVID. There were statements that came onto the TV assuring the people, look, we are handling this situation. Look, we have 2 cases of COVID. There should have been an emergency press conference. Given the state of anger that persons are in, I believe it would have comforted persons more than just a few words in a press release. um, I do hope, you know, I do hope that he continues to hear the cries of our citizens, of our civilians, and he does understand the gravity of the situation. We most definitely would not want Grenada, our beautiful Grenada, to turn into what we have seen in Minnesota, where persons might get to a point of frustration where they might burn down buildings and so on. You know, we actually have to live here, and you know, as always, I would like to encourage persons to actually protest peacefully, do whatever peacefully, right? We do face a lot of injustices in Grenada. Fortunately enough, persons have come forward. Many persons are speaking on the injustices that are being faced. This is not a situation as we have announced with Cameron Peters, who is still waiting on justice for his brother 5 years later. You know, it's just a day after. So I really would hope that the RGPF would take a turning point and see that the people are crying and the people are they're hungry for justice. And this is what we are paying members of the RGPF to do, to provide that facility. Michael?
So,
Right.
if
Well, go ahead.
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay. If I'm answering to the question regarding whether or not the Commissioner of Police is equipped to handle the matter, I'm not able to confidently speak on him personally. I'd like to think that we have to rely on what the law allows in this situation, so that he's fully guided by, you know, what extent can we go with this matter. But I don't think it's one of those situations that is so huge that there's going to be ambiguity that it cannot be resolved pretty quickly and satisfyingly. It is an issue of battery or assault, pretty much common. And on the scales of crimes that could be committed, I would not put that on the very high scale. So I don't think that should be too much of a challenge for him to not be able to come up with a great solution, one that is satisfying for everyone. So I'll leave that part of it there. But I honestly feel like people are pointing in all different directions, and a lot of things are being said, and people are reacting all different ways, because I think there is some amount of misunderstanding of the situation in itself. And let's face it, it is pretty early in the game, right? People were willing to get wet and soaked in the rain with their children only because they want to support local, and they want to support, if anybody's going to be crying out for justice, they want to support that. I don't know if the attention is really to be given to the people that committed the act, um, and to put some amount of tension on them, or if it is to put tension on the police force for all the situations that people deemed was not properly handled. But this is a situation that happened less than 48 hours ago, right? What's going to happen when there is a full conclusion of this case Monday, when I'm pretty sure that there are hundreds of other cases out there that happened on Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday, and this one was given a little more attention and expedited a little bit bigger than, you know, so what some people may feel like should have been given greater attention. So if I was the commissioner of police and I was going to react as well to the situation as it unfolds and as it develops, you may not have seen me making a statement too early in the game, simply because you might as well um, achieve the adverse reaction, where as you think that you probably will be pacifying the situation by coming and make a statement, when in fact you might be just fueling it just a little bit more. And if you cannot speak with authority, and this is what I've noticed from him, he likes to speak on a situation with authority. If he cannot speak with authority on a situation, which means that he would have done his homework, I do not believe that he's going to come forward. He's probably going to postpone it for a time that allows him to be able to effectively address whatever concerns that me, you, and the rest of the Grenadian public who is very angry about this situation. Whatever questions we ask, we would want satisfying answers.
Gemma, let me ask you both a question. If these were two Grenadians and the same situation happened, would it have got the press coverage and the media coverage? Would we be up in arms about it? And would the police take the same sort of action as they're taking at the moment?
You see, you know, to be truthful, and I always like to be truthful,
Good question.
speaking, you know, based on experience, again, if these were two Grenadian nationals and the same situation occurred, based on experience, I don't believe that it would have gotten this much press attention, right? The outcome, Ingram. Let me give you a typical example. Now, sometime last year, there was a gentleman that killed someone. He murdered him with a cutlass at Wester Hall, St. David's. Right now, that gentleman was said to be one who made multiple complaints to the Royal Grenada Police Force. He also went to the local media, and that would include a newspaper, right? And because he did not get justice, eventually he took matters into his own hands. And one day, when he possibly had a bit too much to drink, he retaliated. And now, unfortunately, today he is he is in Her Majesty's prison. That person has died. We have so many reports that have been filed at the Royal Grenada Police Force, and this is what I'm saying. This is why Grenadians are so uneasy about the situation, because they believe that nothing would occur. Right? And they believe this because of past experiences, right? You have done shows since 2012, right? Where persons who are seeking justice are not granted that justice, where they are being refused. We have many cases where locals will go to police stations, and when they attempt to give a statement, an official police statement at the station, they are being refused. Although Regulation 116 of the Police Act that mandates the duties of police officers in Grenada, and although it says that they have to take these statements, they are refused. So, you know, in going forward, I really hope that if this is what happens with locals, it would be handled differently. And just final point, Ingram, and before you speak, you're muted. You know, what I would say is that, you know, I think that we are perfectly imbalanced in our pursuit to justice. Sometimes we need to look at all the injustices and treat them the same. We need to treat them the same way. Michael?
Right. Okay. So it's a resounding no. If it was two locals, in my opinion, I don't think that it would have been handled the same way. Locals probably tend to resolve things between themselves a little bit different from white people. I think it's probably also because of the fear of, racial imbalance, as we would say, because we're in a black man's country, and that could go a whole different way. So I don't feel like it would have been handled differently. And I've known of cases where persons feel like, and now I'm talking about the police side of things, that you probably would see that the white man complaining will get a little more attention than the black man complaining. Right? Is that level of attention we give to tourism so much so that it almost appears as if they may have a little bit more footing here than we do. And I guess, it might be the situation of, if you have a visitor at your home, you probably treat the visitor a little bit different than you treat somebody who lives in your house. So owing to them, I'll leave it there. Are we going too far with that? Maybe, but I'll leave it to that. But no, I don't think that it would have been handled the same way. And again, too, I feel like the way the extent of which a foreigner would go to get justice for what happened, a local may not go to that extent. So a police officer hearing a case from a local versus hearing a case from a foreigner, they already understanding already that the foreigner may go a little further than the local man. They may give it a little bit more attention. So that is in itself a little bit of imbalance that the police force may need to address sooner rather than later. And I want to believe too that there is a certain amount of anger that is fueled from the fact that we locals kind of already feel like, because we are dealing with the foreigners, that the outcome would be different than if it was local. So we preempt that thought, and already it's fueling our action. Right? We're not separating those previous cases from that one. So this case may be given a little bit more attention just for the mere fact that people are challenging the police force to do something different, and they're making the police force know that we are looking, and we are not going to stop with anything short of full justice for our local people. So it may all be that.
I'm gonna interject there because I think you made some really good points there. But I'm going to use one word. I'm going to use the word media in Grenada. Now, I don't know if you're watching the whole of that report, but there was a commercial that was about tourism in Grenada, and they showed the shopping mall in Grenada, downtown. And first thing I noticed was it looked like I was in England, or I was in America or Australia. I did not recognize that Grenada because I saw people that didn't look like myself. I saw maybe two people in that store, in that mall, that looked like me, and everybody else was Caucasian. Now, I'm not trying to be a racist here or anything, but I'm just calling something for what it is. It seems to be, when I was on the island back in 2012, there seems to be a real push, or almost kind of allowance for the foreigner that doesn't look like myself or yourself. There seems to be almost a welcome carpet. Come in, do whatever the hell you want, and we will allow you to get away with it, and we must ask no questions. And if you've got the money to pay, then you could do what the hell you want on the island. There were many videos on 2012. Some of those videos within tourism, there was lots of videos of Grenadians serving tourists. A lot of these sort of like subservient rules are we serving. And that psychologically is not great. This is our island. We should be proud of our island. There should be lots of us on the island, welcoming them to the island. But it is our island. That could not be the case in England, in America, in Australia. No. There's more of a tolerance of us in other countries. But in Grenada, we are opening, welcoming the door. And as long as you're a tourist, and you are non-black, then you're right. and you're going to get favoritism and you're going to get treated differently. And now you've got the Chinese in there now. So the Grenadians there on the island not getting the jobs, not getting the employment, and the Chinese are getting the employment. So is that not causing more tension on the island? That it's us, our own selves, that are doing injustice to our own selves? We talk about Black Lives Matter, but what's going on? Are we not black on the island? Are there not issues right there that need to be dealt with? Never mind George Floyd. What about right here on the island? What about our local politics? What about our local media that continues to allow such things in the media to go out? The video that went out, that ad that was seen around the world, I was mortified because I didn't see hardly any Grenadians in that video. Hardly any. That's like me going to England and watching a Welcome to England video and seeing a whole heap of black people on the video and one white person. That just wouldn't happen. It wouldn't be allowed to happen. So that going on, plus now this incident happening, people say this, fed up with this. It's ridiculous. But the media and the government are hand in hand responsible, more the government than the media, because the government say yay or nay to these things.
You see, Ingram, we're again some feedback, Ingram. Now you could do me a favor. You could change up the angles back to how you originally had it. Right, lovely. I was too close. Now, unfortunately, I have to agree with you. Many times on the island, you would hear our citizens saying that the law does not apply to the rich people or to the foreigners. And I can understand why. For instance, Ingram, I remember clearly, approximately 2 years ago, there was the erection of an illegal structure on Grenada's beach, right? Although the Physical Planning Act, the law of Grenada that deals with erecting buildings and so forth, although it spoke to buildings being erected within 55 meters of the high water mark, right? A building was still erected in the form of a hotel. You and I did a program on that, right? Instead of correcting the wrongdoing, our Prime Minister got onto the media, our Prime Minister, who is unfortunately our physical planning, Minister of Physical Planning as well, got onto the local media and said that this was a mistake. This man made a mistake. Also further elaborated and stated that the gentleman had money and there are many other countries that would be happy to have this gentleman here in their country to invest, right? And do you know what that says to persons coming from the outside, or persons who are a bit more financially fortunate than others? It sets possibly not racial discrimination, but it does set a lot of segregation to class as it relates to finances, right? And this is something that should not be happening in our little island. Everyone should be able to have the same access to justice, to law. Everyone should abide by our laws. Our law has not been placed there just for a particular class of persons. Now, in the comment, there's a young lady, Carol Maitland. She has stated that she said, I have been picked up by the police force because a client complained about one of my products being too high, and they brought me into the police station. If I was another race, they would not have brought me in for questioning. So this is why there is the discomfort of persons, right? When we do have the Minister of National Security making such suggestion as to who should follow laws and whatever have you. I mean, the illegal building is still there. I am also aware that there were a group of fishermen in St. David's who were making an honest living, and their structure was Michael, do you remember that situation where their structure was bulldozed in St. David's? We see too much separation, especially when it comes to class. And this is not good. It's not good at all. You know, and this really needs to change. We need to get to the point in 2020 where we appreciate each other as Grenadians, where we look out for each other, where we uplift each other, and where we would see someone falling short and we would do what the best of our ability to raise them up. Yeah.
So, I want to touch on what you said there just very quickly. There's a very prominent person on the island of Grenada, and I said to them, I said, why are you operating out of this place? You could operate in a place that is so much better. He said, no, if I do that, then I'm going to come off like a big shot. And if I come off like a big shot, then people won't come to my house and get help. I'm like, what? It's like, yeah. It's because if a foreigner comes and does it, that's fine. If a foreigner moves in next door and does what I do, then that's fine. And they live in a big house, that's fine. But if I try and do it, then it's unacceptable. And I'll be looked down at by Grenadians for being a big shot. I thought, really? And obviously living on the island for a while, I come to understand that. Your thoughts?
Michael, you want to take that? The good thing, Michael he's not affiliated with no political party, and nobody could say that Michael is you know, and the thing is, I want to make clear that these things, whatever we're speaking about, we want to ensure that people realize, they recognize that this has nothing to do with political affiliation or anything. It has to be with better in our island. And this is all we just want, a better country that we could all live in, right? As people would say, that's all I want, right? So, Mike.
Right, and I'm glad to mention that, Earl, because as the gentleman was speaking as well, he took me someplace in my mind, and it's a little bit sad because I already know that we here in Grenada, it seems like we are either green or we are yellow. There is no different. There is no in between. There is no neutral. It seems like that doesn't exist, right? Even if you to yourself know deep in your heart that you are impartial and all you want to see is a better Grenada and a better society, people are going to label you. People are going to brand you. And I'm begging and imploring that persons do not try to label myself and the rest of you for having come out here and having this discussion. My only objective is to get our people to ensure that the actions that they are taking is one that is relevant, is one that is necessary, and is one that yields the best possible result. And that is my only objective in this matter, right? But to the question that you asked, I don't know that I captured the full essence of what you were mentioning, but I'll make an attempt, right? It hinges on the whole idea that, and going out to the public, that we are living as third and fourth class citizens in our own country. We are not given the level of attention as we would like to see, right? And I'll give you a typical example. I went to the beach the other day, and I felt a little bit discomforted by the fact that it was a little after 11 going there, and the state of the beach, it was alarming, right? And then I had to ask myself, if the country was open and we had tourism, would the beach look like that at 11 a.m. in the morning? So locals all the same would like to enjoy a clean, welcoming beach. Where are the custodians of the beach? Is it that they too have been laid off? Is it that because of tourism not being booming at this point in time? Is that the reason why we are not seeing them? So they have not been employed to take care of the beaches because tourism is not booming. So we are not giving that level of attention. And it's those perceptions that is going to cause there to be that level of separation between the governments and the powers that be and the local. It is your action. It is what you do against what we expect you to do. Ms. Maitland made mention of a case that she had where she was picked up for the complaint that was made and whatnot. But if it was somebody else that was white, she know that it wasn't going to pick up. Does she really know that? No, she doesn't know that. But she can almost be assured based on the perceptions that was created that that's what's going to happen. So I strongly believe that there needs to be a serious effort in changing that perception. All the prime spots that you and I grew up to, the beaches and whatnot, we feel like they are at risk and threat for some foreign investor come in and take that over for the sake of economic development. Where do we draw the line with economic development? And it may just be that the local man or the regular man doesn't understand the bigger picture. So whereas we saying that we don't want to give this piece of land to anybody because we enjoy this, families have been coming here and whatnot, the government may be seeing something totally different. They may say that this could propel the country into another phase of economic development and it's going to benefit everybody and whatnot, right? This may be so. But how much effort is put out there to explain that to the ordinary man so we are on board, right? Whenever there are actions that needs to be taken high level, do we engage the public, get their buy-in, get the ideas and whatnot and put that into action? If we don't, we almost consistently going to have the issues that we have today, whereby Grenadians are feeling like they are third and fourth class citizens in Grenada, right? So there's a serious perception adjustment that ought to be made. And it is perception again, because I don't have the facts. The concessions that foreigners are given, foreign investors are given to start up business and to operate businesses and whatnot, I don't know that locals get the same level of concessions. So the field is not a level playing field at all. Because whereas you already have more money, you have your business out there, so that helps you to come in Grenada and get a startup. I'm a local, just a young man coming out of college, and I have got big dreams. All I need is somebody to help me realize my dreams and support me. Is that really going to happen? Is that really going to happen? Right? So I believe, yes, that there is a fair amount of concerns out there about unfairness that is being meted out by the powers that be it physical or be it just perception, right? But I'm sure, yes, that there is a lot that needs to be done to change that feeling of us Grenadians. And I can't be here and be a hypocrite. Do I feel that way personally? I do feel that way personally, that we could be treated a little bit different, right? It would help us to treat others better as well and be partners with the government and the powers that be in the initiatives that they want to bring on stream. But we need dialogue and we need to feel like our words matter. And it will avoid us from doing things that we do today, which is why we feel like it's necessary to protest against something, because that is the only way we feel like we can get quick enough justice. And look at that. In 2 days, we want it and we want it bad. We're saying we want it, not Monday. And I heard the chant today, not Monday. We want it today.
Let me add an incident that happened to me in Grenada back in 2013 at a very popular restaurant in Grenada. Me and my partner at the time knew the owner very well, but he wasn't there in the evening. Went in, sat down, started our meal. So we had table. And then these two Caucasians walked in. And the waitress was hovering by us while we're eating our food. She said, "Can you get up, please?" We said, "Why?" goes, oh, because they want to sit here. Not to kick up a stink, pick myself up with my partner, and we sat down in the other place so they could sit there. It was by the window, so they could see. Grenada. Okay?
Wow.
So it happens. You can't turn a blind eye to it. So we don't do ourselves any favours. We don't. So it's all well and good us protesting and Black Lives Matter, but we allow people within positions of power that can change law and change rules to inflict such or allow such behaviours on the island. But then you've got to ask yourself the question, those rules and laws, where did they originate from? And how much power does the man, the captain, actually have on the island? Who does he answer to? And then we have the answer. And then we know where all the rules are coming from. Your thoughts, Mikey?
Yeah. Where do I start with this one? Whomever we choose to give the powers to, I think we ought to hold ourselves accountable for that. And I would not blame a leader if we are the ones that chose that leader. I would not blame them. I would not act like my wishes are bigger than the ones that the vast majority, because the vast majority selected that leader. I think we ought to be conscious of what we want from our leaders, and we ought to be bold about getting that. And when we are not getting that, be bold about having the discussions that we are not getting that. I think there is a misplaced loyalty from our people, misplaced loyalty in that we misunderstand our role in the whole political system, right? And things will be happening that we do not like, but what are we doing about it? What are we doing about it, right? So I feel like we create our own problems. And again, when most of us vote, we vote a leader. We don't vote as it was intended, right? So we don't vote the representative for our constituency, right? I would vote the member of the constituency rather than trying to vote for a political party, so to speak, right? If somebody's not doing well in my constituency and I feel like another person may do a better job, I'll vote for the person that I believe would do a better job, right? But what I believe is happening in Grenada here to our demise is that we may feel like even if we know that somebody's going to do better for us, we vote according to which leader we want to be in office. So then we have to live with that decision. What do you expect is going to happen? Because that leader cannot do everything himself, right? He has to be leaning on others, who has to be leaning on us, right? And I don't think that we are honest enough to say things to our leaders that we feel like they don't want to hear. I feel like we tell our leaders what we want to hear to stay in their good books. And when things don't go right, I don't think that we use the power that we have to make it different. You're on mute.
I'll say, what happens when media are told by the government that, and workers are told by the government that they shouldn't talk to the media, but they should go to the union. But when they go to the union is toothless. What do people do then?
Again, how did the union leader come into being? Who selected the union leader that is not going to represent their cause, right? And if the union leaders are being silenced by persons in authority, why are they not saying something? Because their allegiance is not necessarily to the persons that are in authority. They need to serve the people that put them in power. And that's the problem. The misplaced, as I mentioned before, the misplaced loyalty. The loyalty should be the people that you're selected to serve and not your leader, right? Of course, the leader is going to help guide and direct your path, but at the end of the day, your path should be driven by the people that put you there to serve their interests. That's why you're there, to serve the interests. You're a servant of the people.
But Mikey, if captain, if the captain of ship calls Grenadians damn ungrateful because we have a billionaire on the island and we're too damn ungrateful, what does that say?
For one, I believe that there ought to be a certain amount of control of your thoughts. So if you feel that way, there are ways of bringing that out. I am not going to justify in any way offending or speaking down to our electorate. So it is wrong. Right? If someone tells where people sit in your mind, and for people that are in position and those serious positions of power, you already have to understand there's going to be a misunderstanding in your goals versus the people's goals. And knowing already that there's sometimes going to be a clash. So you should be prepared for that clash before it happens. You show a lack of self-control when it does happen and you react in a way that offends your people. Right? And if that's what you do and cause you to be labeled as insensitive and selfish, then that's on you as the leader. You're on mute?
Sorry. What is the final game for Grenada? What does the new Grenada look like? We're talking all this sweet stuff now. What does the new Grenada look like for Grenadians? Not for the foreigners, but how do we get that? What does that look like?
I honestly believe that there's too many segregation amongst our people. We are segregated for different causes, but we are segregated severely. I don't think that there's meeting of the mind. You're either on the green side of the fence, you're on the yellow side of the fence, and this year never happened. Right? I know that we've had those two political parties for quite a long time, but is it time for an emerging, young and more vibrant political party to come and to just bring fresh idea, fresh perspective, a new way of things. At times, that's what you need, right? Look at the people that are in serving politics these days, right? I mean, most of them are double my age, and what happens when you're that age? You're set in your ways for the most part, right? Your ideas of what works usually set, and that's what you're willing to go by. The only thing that changes that is if there is serious dialogue with younger people and a wider cross section of people. But the fact that we are so divided, you don't get the right perspective on things when even there is a discussion, because in that meeting, let's just say this, in an NMP meeting, you're only going to find NMP people. In an NDC meeting, you're only going to find NDC people. So how is that really going to work? When would we allow ourselves to just go and sit down in a meeting just so that we can give a meaningful contribution? When are you going to ever see that? So I think that we are holding back ourselves from serious progress by the lack of us, just coming together and making a difference. But one thing, it just needs to be much more engagement with people. Through the pandemic, I have to say that I've seen government reacting a little bit more towards people's wishes, and I really, really like to see that. I believe it's owed to the fact that we are forced to have to use social media, and the attention and the spotlight is going on so many different issues that forces their hands, right? That same thing that nudges them, which is that of us being able to come together and discuss things and discuss them objectively and come up with solutions. We need to have more of that and stop looking at people in the opposite way if they say something that you don't like to hear. Coming out of this discussion, some people may try to label me green and some people may try to label me yellow, and that's just what's killing us. The fact that we judge each other and we don't look at the bigger picture, and we are not willing and readily want to resolve issues. We just want to pick a side and support that side.
Is that not then a re-education issue?
It could be an education issue, but think about that. Where is the lapse in education? Where exactly has it started? And who is responsible for fixing it? Who's going to call it that? And who's responsible for fixing it? And who's going to invest in fixing it?
Well, surely we should be responsible for education, and potentially maybe we need to look at education that is more suited to the Caribbean rather than education that is suited to Queen Victoria.
Mm. And that is true. Because one thing I always say is that you go to school and for so many years you're taught to follow, you're not taught to lead. So that's a fundamental issue I already see in our education system. And again, the books that were written so many years ago and have just been recycled and recycled when our world is changing, new challenges in our world, new technology, but we tend to somewhat lapse behind with how we react and respond to the change of times, right? So I agree with you that a lot of it has to do with education, but also I believe that we need to come forward and make a contribution, understand what our values, understand our purpose, and make a meaningful contribution for our country, and not support something because it's coming from the party that I support, right? And not jump and wave to something.
In Grenada, what's their vision? Are they going to be the next king?
I didn't get the question, I'm sorry.
Our young leaders,
Mm-hmm.
the next government in 10 or 15 years, what do they look like? What are their ideas like? How we train them for the future so we don't make the mistakes of the past and now?
Yeah, I see that one of the things that I've seen that has been working well for the government right now is having that youth parliament, which somewhat helps expose the younger folks to what the political arena looks like and get them prepared and enthused for becoming future leaders. I have had the privilege of sitting in on one of those. And one thing that I came out there with is that if we continue to do things like that, yes, we are going to inject a lot of good and intelligent people into the political arena. But where does it start? Where do we start in terms of bringing that party on board? Where does its support start? Because I don't know that a strong NMP head of a household would propel a child into becoming the new person that goes and challenges their own party. That is how deep I believe the segregation is, right? That you would not even propel your own child because you do not want them competing with and you feel like the chances are going to be slim against the infamous current administration. Yeah. So I think we are deep in when it comes to how far we are into trouble when it comes to our political climate here in Grenada. I wish someday, not I wish, but when I was a little bit younger, I envisioned being a part of this great political party so that I can influence a lot of positive change and whatnot. And for reasons that I wouldn't like to discuss, no, that dream has gone away. But I still, as a human being, would like to do my part for my country, right? And even if I personally fear the backlash that's come from it, that's going to come from being here talking about things that may not go over well with people, at the end of the day, I cannot put my personal feelings over my divine objective to do my role before I depart this earth to help my country in whatever way that I would. So I'm going to be optimistic in my utterances. I'm going to be as balanced as possible in my utterances. And I hope that other people may do that. You know, let's just take, for example, some media houses. Would they air things that goes against this party or that party? No, they probably not, because for fear again as to what backlash is going to come from it. But again, you know, if you present yourself objective enough and you stay steadfast to the cause, eventually, although there may be some backlash, but it will not outweigh the benefits of you doing your part, like in educating people and whatnot. If I, as an influential person, Earl as an influential person, you as an influential person, pick up a placard and go out there and protest, there are people who are willing to follow us to whatever extent. So is our action responsible enough? Just knowing that people are going to follow us without question, right? So the people around us that has some amount of power, even though that you're not in office, we need to open our mouths. We need to stand up, and we need to be able to help our country and serve our people in the best way possible, putting aside the personal reactions that we are really going through. to get. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm willing to go to whatever extent to really just help do my part and help my country. And I'm hoping that others can do the same.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh, you're on mute.
I was actually doing something there. Right. So, I have to agree with everything that Michael has said. The task is on us as citizens, right, to really embrace and enforce that change that we want to see. Right. It is our duty, and we must do what we have to as citizens and not as supporters of a political party. One thing that he said that is very accurate is the fact that many persons vote for a leader and not a constituency representative. Many times our constituency representatives, they fail us miserably. And we continue doing the same thing. I was just having a conversation with a gentleman today, and this is something that continues to reoccur. The sentiment that if we continue doing the same thing and voting in the same persons into office, we would always have the same outcome. There has been no change, notwithstanding the fact that we don't only need a youthful party in the sense of age to take the country forward, but we also need to include everyone with youthful minds, right? Because we may or may not have the same outcome. It depends on the mentality of the persons that we take, right? I'm sure we do have young persons who have the same selfish mentality of those that are in office at this time. We do need full representation from the senior citizens and the younger citizens as well. I wanna just get back a bit to the point that persons who are protesting now, as we're grateful for that. We're happy to see that there's unity, that persons will stand against injustice. But I would like to see that this protest in the pursuit of justice to continue, not only today, but for other matters that affect persons who are living in Grenada. Now, for instance, I believe possibly 2 weeks ago, I'm sure the nation, after viewing local news stations and viewing social media, have recognized that there's a gentleman at Her Majesty's prison who has been seeking asylum in Grenada, and he has been incarcerated by the Grenadian government since August 2019. Since August 2019, without conviction. And what I mean by that, he has not been convicted of a crime. He was sent to Her Majesty's prison by the court for 11 days to be remanded so his claims could have been validated, right? To ensure that his purpose here in Grenada, or in Grenada, I keep saying here, I'm not in Grenada at this time, unfortunately, but his claims of seeking asylum in Grenada were actually factual. And what is happening is that he was sent to prison, and that 11-day remand has turned into almost 1 year. He's still there today. We have seen his lawyer go on to the local media station. She has also gone on to various stations. We have had Miss Rolanda McQueen as well, who has spoken on the behalf of this gentleman, who has been, in my opinion, and the opinion of any reasonable thinking person, illegally incarcerated. And I would like to see that unity is also shared among this gentleman, right, and the other victims that we have in Grenada. I cannot describe how passionate that you know I am about these matters that concerns persons who are being victimized daily, right? And the treatment that he must be receiving and the fear of being incarcerated without any word at Her Majesty's prison, I can only imagine once again his health condition. We really need to focus, right? We really need to focus. If we are going to effect change in our country, the change that we continuously speak about, there is only one way that we can do it, and Michael said it. It is by us getting more involved in our country's affairs. It is by us acting without bias. It is with us acting without fear of persecution. It is by us educating ourselves about the laws of our country, right? And it is only that way that we will not be threatened by those in the highest public offices to be sued for speaking the truth. Many times I would have said that it is a constitutional right to speak in the interest of public morality. And many of our citizens do not know that. So they might see a crime being committed, be it in the Labor Department, be it in the Ministry of Health, be it in the Prime Minister's office, and they will be afraid to speak because they believe. And I would like to assure the people of Grenada that once you speak the truth and you speak it well and you pass it on to everyone, you cannot be sued for that. Although the Prime Minister would love people to believe that you could be sued for anything. We have seen what he has done to Ms. Claudette Joseph of the opposition, right? But the thing is, Ingram and Michael, listening to Michael, I have gained some more hope. He's very conscious of what is happening in the country. And I really do hope that he continues the struggle, because the struggle is not mine. It is not yours. It is not his alone. But we have to continue the struggle to re-educate our people in Grenada. This is what needs to be done. We need to step away from the partisan politics. This is the problem. Politics is not the problem. Partisan politics is the problem. Because politics is life. Politics affects everything. And I'll continue to say that the politics is policies that are being passed, and it affects our lives. Politics and policies. Now, based on, and what I mean by policy, for instance, could be our government waking up tomorrow and saying, you know what, we don't have enough money in the treasury. We want to add an additional tax on glasses. So we're going to say, you know what, Michael has to pay us $5 for glasses every day he wears his glasses. Now, if Michael cannot afford to pay that $5, then he may or may not be incarcerated or fined. There's too much bias when the law is being executed. Too much bias. For instance, I although out of Grenada is my home. Grenada, after my mother, Grenada is my second love, right? And there's this policy that was passed, and it became law apparently, that persons outside of their residential homes, they must wear a mask. Now, I have seen in the local media that some persons were charged for not wearing their mask outside of their homes. But, the bad thing about it is that we have also seen that officers are not wearing their mask as well, but they are not being charged. We have seen the acting commissioner of police in all his presentations in an enclosed room whilst making press statements. He is not wearing a mask as well with persons who are not from his home, right? So we are seeing these things, these laws only apply, at this time, only apply to the poor man, basically. And this needs to change. And the change can only come at our hands. We have this change at our fingertips and at the tips of our tongues. It depends on what we say and how we say it and everything, and how we treat each other and how we appreciate each other's struggle, right? And we really need to be our brother's keeper, basically. We need to be our brother's keeper. And this is how change will come. Appreciation, and that's about it, you know? Ingram? Ingram, so basically, I know that it is now, Ingram, what time is it by you? Is it 12:42? It's 12:42?
12:42. Yes, 12:42 in the morning.
12:42. So Michael, it has been a pleasure, a real pleasure having you here, right? To add some insight into what is happening. Ingram, thank you again. It's 12:42. You're out here, and you're trying to make a difference in Grenada. You know, I want to call on our Grenadian citizens to do the same. Ingram is in England. Ingram is not a Grenadian citizen. He is in England. He's an English citizen. And
watch yourself. Hey, I've got Grenadian heritage.
okay. Right.
You see, it started to make the vibe between me and you.
Right. The sacrifice that you continue to make, you know, it is very much appreciated by myself, and I'm sure by other persons. Normally we would have had Master Melvin Coutain, who would have been here with us as well, Michael. But due to time constraints and everything, Michael has filled in as a Grenadian citizen. And Michael, thank you so much for being here. In going forward, you know, we want to encourage the people of Grenada, you know, speak against injustices. Let you take this opportunity to invite Michael to make any last statements, you know.
Well, yes, gentlemen, I really do appreciate the invitation to come on here today, and I hope that our discourse would have positively influenced the minds that are listening to us, so that we can open them up somewhat and help them to realize that as a people that we need to just work together, and there's no other way to yield better results than doing that. The divisiveness will not work in our favor. It's just going to continue to work against us. So in everything that we do, we just got to keep our eyes on the objective that we want to achieve and take the best possible course in achieving that objective. And I just want to say to all those who are hurting today, both sides, the family that would have lost their dog, sorry about you losing your dog, and the family of the gentleman who was battered as well. I'm hoping that he too and his family get some level of comfort and satisfaction out of the situation, and collectively we can all come out of this being able to handle situations like this much better, where we don't feel like we have to employ pressure to get the results that we are looking for. Have a good night, everybody.
Michael, I just want to say thank you for being on the show. Earl, as always, your contribution is tremendous. And just to say to everybody to join us on Monday, next Monday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Pursuit of Justice. Am I correct?
Of Justice, that is correct. Monday, 6 p.m. We would be having Mr. Curtis Thomas, who has been a victim of police brutality in Grenada. Of course, he would have gone through great lengths to file complaints and try to seek justice. He has been to almost every office that is legally mandated to provide redress for his matter. This also includes the Governor General's office, the Prime Minister's office, Public Service Commission, the Royal Grenada Police Force, the Ombudsman's office, and many more. He's going to be here to tell his story, and we want to invite everyone to tune in this mission to our Grenadian citizens of what is actually happening in Grenada is very important, because the decisions that we make would affect the way that we live. We cannot do anything without a united effort. And Mr. Thomas has been going through these struggles since 2013, himself and family. And in 2013, I must say that two or three police officers entered his home illegally without even a warrant and knocked him out in front of his family. To date, we're still calling on the redress. We have seen lawyers, we have seen even in nurses, doctors, police officers, and all go into the local media trying to get their voices heard, to twist the hands of those in authority to actually deliver the justice that is needed. So Monday, 6 p.m. And every Monday after that, until we can be provided with the assurance that the Royal Grenada Police Force, high-ranking officers, including Mr. Edwin Martin, would deliver justice to the people of Grenada. So once again, thank you, Michael. It is a pleasure, my brother. It is a pleasure. Ingram, thank you for the sacrifice.